Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Zealous Racing League. My name is Shim. I'm going to be your host and caster for tonight's race. Welcome back, everyone, for another season, our season opener for ZAD's Galaxy Tour. This is going to be titled, Season 9 is going to be titled the F1 Circuit Tour in ACC, for good reason too, because all of the tracks that you will see this season are tracks that are featured on the Formula One calendar. We've got returning drivers this season. Kenneth Portis, our last season winner, Season 8's champion was Kenneth Portis. We'll see if he can defend his title this season against drivers like Jose Nunez, Christopher Larson, Matthew Reed, Juan Valero, other returning members, Chris Rise, Sean Collis, one of our ZRL admins, and many more. We also have some new drivers in the server today, like Dennis Griffith. We have see some other of our new drivers, Cleric. We also have there is some other newer drivers in here as well. But as I was saying, we've got new drivers, we've got returning drivers. It's going to be a great season this season. I'm really excited to be able to host this, and we'll see what our drivers can do. One thing I do want to note before we start tonight's stream is that if there are any other, if there are any pauses, weird pauses in the stream or in my commentating, just know I'm gonna be fine. I just do have to take a few more breaks today in today's stream because I got sick a few weeks back, and I don't know if you could tell. You might not. I just coughed there. I'm gonna warn you, that might happen more often than not, but I'm still getting my voice back from that sickness. I'm still coughing a little bit more than I'd like to, so I do apologize if I have to take some breaks here and there from the commentating to just allow myself to get a quick drink of water or allow myself to cough. I'd rather not cough on the mic or anything like that for you guys, so just want you all to know that ahead of time, that if you do see some breaks, that is why. Now, tonight's race, our first race this season in the F1 Circuit Tour, is at the beautiful Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari at Imola. So, colloquially known as Imola. This is a absolutely exciting track to race at, and has provided some amazing racing for Zealous in the past. Last time I believe we saw this was during our GT3 and GT4 season, which was 2 seasons ago, and that ended up being a rain race. So we'll see if today's race ends up becoming a rain race as well. So far in the last season, we haven't had any rain races, so I think we're due for a bit of rain sometime here soon. And as you can see, the clouds are rolling in. Whether that brings rain or not, we'll have to see, but I personally would love to see it. One thing to note here in practice is that Portis is not setting the fastest lap right now, which I find is extremely interesting because usually he is setting the fastest laps. So I think this is going to be a really fun season to watch all of our drivers. We have some crazy fast drivers this season. One in particular, Christopher Larson, raced in the GT4 GT3 season in the GT4 class. That was the same class I was racing in that season, and my goodness, is he fast. He is incredibly rapid. And I know that he actually does race cars in real life as well on occasion. So really cool to see him back this season, back in the NSX. I think he's going to give Portis a good run for his money. So excited for that this season. Now, looking at some other drivers, Juan Valero is making a return after appearing in some of our early races last season, but he wasn't able to make some of the later races. A newcomer from last season, Chris Rise. Great to see him back. Was always super excited. So, welcome back, Chris. Hope that you do well this season. Uh, Alejandro Polgarin, another driver that took a break from last season but is back this season in the Mercedes AMG. So love to see, can't wait to see what he can do in that. Another driver, Fletcher. Fletcher's been in previous seasons as well. Was not in last season, but excited to see him back. Excited to see all of the drivers back. And another returning face here, Dale Rodman Jr. the third, back driving the Audi this season. One driver I also want to note is Melon Pitch in the Bentley. Just look at that livery. My goodness, that should be classified as a track hazard. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. My goodness, he is really going all out with that one. In all fairness, though, I think it's pretty funny, and he did mention it ahead of time. If I had seen this livery and how over the top and crazy it was with all the differing colors and shades and hues. So excited to see Pitch back here. Hopefully he doesn't bin it into the wall like he did at Watkins Glen last season. A great little short clip from last season on our YouTube channel. Features Pitch getting in a bit of an accident while he went up the hill at Watkins Glen last season. The race today is going to be a 60-minute race. 60 minutes with 2 mandatory pit stops for our drivers. The pit stops must be taken in a 55-minute pit window, so the first the first 2.5 minutes of the race and the last 2.5 minutes of the race are not counted within the pit window. So you gotta at least basically make it through 1, maybe 2 laps before you pit for your mandatory pit stops. So that should provide a lot of really great strategies for our drivers. I always like multiple pit stops. I like having a pit stop personally because I think it provides, one, a level of skill managing pit stops that our drivers need to learn and to master, but also I think it provides a lot of really great strategy opportunities for our drivers. As we watch Portis here, 4 of our top 3 cars right now, or 3 of our top 4 cars, sorry, right now are Hondas. The Honda of Guacia, another returning driver who took a break out of last season and is now back. We know him to be fast and so far is setting some fast laps. Larson and Portis. We also have another Honda in Valero. We've got some Aston Martins, Simon Bowdry, returning driver. Matthew Reed, always in that Lamborghini. Jose Nunez has always been rocking that Audi. Flores racing in the M4, BMW M4 this season. Turnbow racing in the Audi. Keith Brown, a new driver. He is racing in the McLaren 720S, as is Dustin Fletcher. Pulgarian, like I mentioned earlier, in the Mercedes AMG. Matt Fender, a returning driver, but this season, instead of being in the Audi, he is also in the Mercedes AMG. In a bit of a custom livery there. Cleric in the BMW M4. Toby Yao rocking the BMW as well. Chris Rise in the Audi. He was in the Audi last season, and he is rocking that Rise Competition Audi livery again. Great little Colorado-themed livery for him. Dale Rodman, another Audi driver. Christopher Flores, our other Aston Martin driver. Pitch is in the Bentley, only Bentley this season as far as I can see. Griffith in the McLaren. Belanger in the McLaren as well, another returning driver. Sean Collis in the Ferrari. Friesen in the Ferrari. Slim Justin Friesen. And Englander, I hope I'm saying his name right. Peter Englander, a new driver to Zealous Racing League in the Mercedes, in that Black Panther Mercedes livery, a custom livery that he made. Or at least he submitted it. I don't know if he made it. That is our drivers so far in practice, with about a little under 4 minutes left in practice as we watch Englander go down Aqua Minerale there. Our action points are for today's race, I would say, are going to be turn 1 and into the hairpin. Let me count some turns here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The hairpin, I think it's turn 6. Those are really going to be a lot of our action points that I've seen at Imola. Also, going down into the turn that Englander just took, one of the final few turns of the track. I've seen moves be pulled there as well, but it's a lot more risky as that's a downhill braking zone and the track really narrows out at that point as you kind of take the hill down into that sweeping right-hander. Got a bunch of cars coming on the track there, causing a little bit of mayhem as Nunez comes out for another lap. Looking at our top drivers, there's not very much time in between Nunez, Larson, and Guacia, and Portis for that matter. We have another Honda that made it up into P5 here. So, or sorry, Reed just took it for moving Valero down into P6. So Honda's definitely a fast car this season so far, especially for this first track of the season. And before we get into qualifying here, I just want to thank you all for tuning in. And excuse me just a sec as I want to thank you all for tuning in, and if you are new to Zealous Racing League, please give us a like and a follow on Facebook and Twitter. Links are on the homepage of our YouTube channel. Also on the homepage of our YouTube channel is a link to our Discord where you can find the most up-to-date information on Zealous Racing League leagues. And if you have any questions, you can always let us know as well. We're happy to help. That's what we're here for. We're here to help the sim racing community grow, expand, and learn. So if you do have any questions whatsoever, just reach out to any of the admins, myself included, and we'd be happy to help you in any way that we can. As we have 1 minute left here, watching our drivers in practice. 1 minute left in our free practice before we go into qualifying. Qualifying is going to be 10 minutes if I'm not mistaken. Gives our drivers a chance to set the fastest lap that they can. And that will determine the starting order. And like I had mentioned, we have two mandatory pit stops for today's race. I see we have Keg and Chromier in the chat. Chromier is one of our drivers, but is unable to make it because of work, which I totally get what you are going through right now. I'm going to have to be taking some breaks from commentating this season due to work trips myself and also personal trips. So, yeah, gonna have maybe a different voice for some of the races this season, but don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I just have to take some breaks here and there for life, you know. We're all just hobbyists here. We're here to have fun. We're here to enjoy the sport. And sometimes that means we have to. Go and. Excuse me. There we go. Go and do other things for work and for life, really. So. All right, free practice is coming to a close now. As we see Guacia there in a Red Bull livery for that Honda NSX. Honda has really proven to be a dominant car in a lot of our series. Most of the fastest drivers that we get in Zealous are drivers in the um, in the NSX. Now, as we look at qualifying here, something that I always like to do is take the first driver out from qualifying and give everyone a view of the track and what to expect. So we see Portis, the first car out. Larson close behind him. And then behind him looks to be Nunez. As we watch our drivers take their out lap, I'll go into the cockpit of Portis's car and we'll follow him on his first hot lap of the session. As he rounds that hairpin, one of the action stations, I'll call it, of the night, coming up the hill. A lot of really tricky turns here at Imola that require unique braking, and every turn is very unique from each other. So you have to really take every turn separately. You have to be on your toes, and you have to really know the circuit to be fast here. You know, some circuits I think you can be pretty fast out of the box. Circuits like Monza, which, you know, to be honest, Monza isn't too difficult to just learn out of the box. But I think Imola is definitely one of those more technical tracks that we have on the calendar. And as Portis crosses the start-finish line here, we'll go into a bonnet cam, or we'll actually go into a cockpit cam. Watch his hands work here. As he comes down the start-finish straight, late start-finish there, going as late as he can, about the 150 mark, braking into second gear on the gas early to get the lead into this next little straight here, using all the track. Gotta use all the track here. Braking as you go over the inside curbing there. Second gear, coming down into the hairpin. Turning in with first gear there as you accelerate up the hill. Want to keep it as straight as possible. Trying to lightly take the brake there. You want to get as much momentum going into that turn as you possibly can. Down into Aqua Minerale, where you coast into the first turn and then brake harder into the second. Coming into a quick right-left chicane, trying to take as much of the curbing as possible. Cars like the NSX aren't going to be able to take the curb nearly as well as cars like the Bentley. Braking downhill a little bit early, as we can see Portis is into first gear there to get the car rotated. Maybe having a little bit of trouble with the car here, as he takes the double left-hander there. As he comes down the start-finish straight here, well, start-finish not so straight, and crosses the line with a very respectable 1 minute 42.6. Now Lauschen behind him set a lap about a second faster, so Portis is really going to have to kick it into overdrive in order to get the pole position. That is a good question, Cromier, sorry. Pinio, I thought was in the race earlier. He maybe is having some connecting issues. It's another driver that we've usually had, is Glenn Pinio, been with the the community now for about 3 seasons. I did see him pop into this server, but he is no longer there. And there he is. He's back. So it looks like Pinot is now into the server. Now, Portis there is feeling a lot of pressure from Larson behind. Larson's going to have to make a move if he wants to get a faster lap in there, which I think he can. Larson got a little bit of strong words on the back of that car. Come and take it. Trying to get some space there. So he's able to set a faster lap. Portis, as he's crossing now. See what Portis can do. Can he do one better? Looks like he can. About a half a second faster, but that still puts him a half a second to Larson. Nunez is about a half a second then behind Portis. Valero also setting some fast laps now. 42.6s for him. Guaisha, as he crosses the finish line, he is now P2 tentatively. Takes provisional second place with a 1 minute 41.992. So just breaking into the 41s there. Looking a little bit further down. See where some of our midfield runners from last year. Matthew Reed running P8 right now. Fletcher, one of those midfield runners, P9. Englander, P10 currently with his fastest lap. Fender in P11. See where some of our other drivers in. Friesen right behind him, P12. Fender and Friesen had a great championship battle last season at the end of the year, or near the end of the season, tied going into the final 2 rounds. Looks like it's going to be another good battle between them this season. That's something to watch with our Zealous Racing League seasons as well, is that we have battles near the front, but we also have a lot of battles in the middle. You know, not all of us are professional racing drivers. So, and Larson just goes one faster, 141.3. Portis was able to set a bit of a faster lap, 41.8, puts him into provisional P2. Watching Toby Yao here, looks like he's found a bit of a better car in the BMW, and I just gotta say, Toby, I love the anime girl livery. I'm gonna say that's the best livery. I'll go for it. Number 1, Toby Yao, anime girl livery. I'm loving it. But looks like he's finding his groove in that BMW M4. I know he had some troubles last season in the McLaren, so good to see him doing well. Nunez, P4. Our 2, 3, and 4 drivers are within a tenth of a second from each other. So going to be some really great battles between these guys tonight. Some drivers that have yet to set a time. Oh, well, I said that, but yep, some drivers that have yet to set a time. Rodman, Collis, who is currently trying to set a lap, and there is Glenn Pinio. Hopefully he is able to set a lap here soon. Good lap from Friesen as well. Knucklehead Racing Ferrari just got into P6 with his last lap, a 42.6. with just under 6 minutes left in qualifying. But as I was saying, you know, not only do we have great battles for our you know, lead in the championship, but we have a lot of great battles. I would say maybe even better battles in the midfield, because a lot of us are really, like I've mentioned earlier, hobbyist racers. We're not we're amateur racers. We don't call ourselves professional or anything like that. We call ourselves amateurs, and that's kind of what we tailor our leagues to, is kind of that amateur gentleman racing sort of demographic. So we end up getting, drivers from all ends of the spectrum, and that's really what we've seen in, last season and in all of our seasons here for Zealous. So while it's important to watch the battle for the lead, it's also equally important, especially as we get into the later rounds, to watch the battles in the middle, because sometimes those are the best that this sim has to offer, and the best our league has to offer. That does not diminish the league, by the way. It just means that, we come from all walks of life, all skill levels, and we can really tailor it to anyone. Looking at some of our other drivers, Rise currently setting a lap good enough for P13 as of the moment. Turnbull in P7. Englander, P8 currently in that Mercedes AMG. Gotta say, I love that Black Panther livery as well for that car. Simon Beaudry in the Aston Martin, currently our highest ranking Aston Martin. Currently good enough for P7 that last lap. Great lap from him. Reed is in P10. As he comes down the hill here. Carlos Flores here. Actually, I do apologize. I think I mixed up Christopher Flores and Carlos Flores maybe earlier. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But we have Carlos Flores and we have Christopher Flores, so don't mess those up. That's note to me. It's note to me not to mess these guys up. When you have two last names that are the same, makes it difficult. Also, if you were with me last season, you know how difficult those French-Canadian last names. I'm looking at you, Cromier. I'm looking at you, Todd. All you guys messing me up with your French-Canadian last names. But I digress. Christopher is our returning driver, though. Carlos is a newcomer to Zealous in that BMW. P14 currently. Fender, P15. Let's look at some of our front runners. Apologize, gonna have to cough here. But Christopher is currently our front runner. Been able to set even faster laps now. A 41.1 is his fastest lap. That puts him 7/10, over 7/10 faster than Portis in P2, tentative P2. I was really excited to see Christopher back on the roster for this season. Like I had mentioned, I raced with Larson in the GT4 class, and there was nothing I could do to ever touch him. There was nothing really anyone could do to touch him in the GT4 class 2 seasons ago now. Absolutely rapid driver. And this is the first time I think I've seen him drive in the GT3s. So I was really excited to see how he would stack up with our best drivers, because when he considered how he did and he just set an even faster lap there, going another 10th faster. So absolutely incredible. Getting a little bit squirrely there on T1, but if he was an absolutely rapid driver in the GT4 class, if you take that over into GT3s, I was so excited to see how he'd stack up against Portis and Guacia and Nunez. Because I think Portis, Guacia, Nunez, a lot of those guys are in similar speeds. And as you can see right now, he is absolutely alien speeds. Almost a whole second faster than Portis in P2. So incredible to see him, to see that speed here on this track. as Portis turns that last, what I would consider real turn of the circuit. Comes down the not so straight, start-finish straight. See if he can do one better. Doesn't look like he's able to. Maybe got stopped by some back markers, but he has clear air here for his final hot lap as we go into everyone's final lap. Now, last person to cross was the 44 car. Looks like he's not continuing. 1, 2, 3 of... Looks like they're not continuing as well. A lot of drivers are now realizing that qualifying is over. And this will be the last fast lap. We'll watch Portis. Looks like he's going to be one of our last drivers. Looks like Turnbull's right behind him. Turnbull currently P9. As Portis comes back down the hill into Aqua Minerale. Tricky little sector. Probably one of my favorite, though, of all the circuits. Coming back up the hill now. As he heads towards the chicane. Braking right near the curbing there. Trying to cut as much as possible. And utilizing all the track. Really a track where you have to almost abuse the track limits as much as you possibly can. Portis is definitely feeling the pressure now. It's been a long time since he hasn't gotten pole position. As he comes down the straight, he is going to be our last driver to cross. And he goes a bit faster, but it isn't going to be enough. Our starting order: Larson, Portis, Guacia, and Nunez are the top 4 here as we go into the start for our race. Now, like I have mentioned, we have a 60-minute race ahead of us here. 2 mandatory pit stops for our drivers. Your pole sitter, Larson, setting an absolutely rapid lap, almost 1 second faster than P2, Portis. Next we have Guacia, returning after a bit of a hiatus, but doesn't seem to have lost any speed. Doing a great job there, setting a P3. Nunez, then Valero, Englander, newcomer to the league, but is able to get himself into P6. Slim, Friesen in P7. Great performance from him in qualifying. Beaudry in P8. And I'm going to write this down so I know it ahead of time too. So bear with me. Turnbull, P9. Reed, P10. P11 is Fletcher. P12. We have Pitch in the Bentley. Good qualifying performance from him. Rise, P13. P14 is Yao. P15 is Carlos Flores, newcomer to the league. P16 is Fender. Not as good as I've seen him do in the past, but let's see if he can make that up on track. 16 seconds left for our drivers. Christopher Flores, P17. P18 is Brown, 19 Polgarin, 20 Kalrick, 21 is Belanger, 22 is Griffith, Collison 23, 24 is Rodman, and 25 is Pinio. Let's watch our leaders here going into the helicam as we watch the lead. Going into the TV cams, 1 hour race for our drivers. And let's see how they perform. It's going to be important for our 2 front runners, our front row drivers here, to get a good start to the race. Whoever gets out in front in the first few turns, they're going to have a massive advantage for the rest of the race as they come down the start-finish straight here. Starting here shortly. We did have a driver drop. Don't know who that was. Here we go. The race is about to begin as they come to the start-finish straight here. And we are green for round one of the F1 Circuit Tour in ACC for Zealous Racing League. And have a little bit of contact there right off the start with Turnbull off the road. Larson on the inside. Portis and Guacia make contact, spinning. Larson gets off free. Looks like Valero is right behind. Let's see where Portis has ended up. He is in last place now, and Guacia is still on track. P9 now, with contact between them on the first turn. Collis also off of the track here. Puts him back down into last place. Portis moves him up. Baudry also making a bit of a mistake, as well as Friesen off the track. Yao loses a couple spaces as well. Not a great start for a lot of our drivers up in there in the front. Now Larson has a massive advantage now over Valero. Almost 1 second already lead from Valero. But Valero's close behind, with Englander making up some places as well. Englander now P3 with Reed right behind him. Reed started in P10, so that's a great start, 10-4. Guacia already made his way back to P5. Rise in P6, a lot of our drivers there. Portis, Yao, Friesen, Collis, Baudry, all of those drivers losing positions at the start. Another driver that gained quite a few positions here is Brown. Brown started P18 and is now in P8, so great start from him. As Larson gets a massive lead now, 2 seconds. Portis is already making his way up through the pack as well. Looks to maybe have some damage on the car, see if he does. Probably has a little bit of damage, but he has already made his way up into P20 after getting into last place. Now with all the pit stops as well, that's going to play in his favor. Definitely going to be a good for him to make an early pit stop, maybe repair some of that damage if there is any. Another car that's currently in the pits is Nunez, currently fixing up his car. Looking at some of the close battles, we have Fletcher hot on Rise's tail. Pit window is already open. Like I said, it's a 55-minute pit window here for our drivers. 2 mandatory pit stops. So all those drivers that maybe had some contact at the beginning, it's going to leave a lot of room for them to make some pit stops early on. Guacia dropping back even further, probably trying to drop back after knowing he kind of did cause a bit of that mistake there at the beginning, so maybe he dropped back to correct everything on track. Could be something within the chat as well where they corrected on track. Another driver, Griffith, in P12, making his way up from P22. So great start from him, newcomer to the league. Let's watch some of our battles, though, as we have Baudry and Friesen battling it out. They've got to make their way back up through the pack after the initial contact. Another thing to note, Portis already P14, making a lot of ground up very quickly. Looks like Fletcher was able to make a move, and Rise is currently in the pits, making his pit stop early. Brown, Pitch, Bulgarin, all fairly close with each other here. Larson already pulling a 4-second gap on Valero. Valero with the fastest lap now, though. Fastest lap from Valero is 1:43.5, which means that Larson must have had some track limits infractions. It's definitely something you're going to want to watch out for with the chicane here. Easy to go out of track limits with that chicane, trying to eke out all of the speed and all of the time you can. Brown feeling pressure from Bulgarian here. But in that quest to eke out every tenth that you can, you are very susceptible to getting those warnings for track limits. Bulgarian looking to make a move on Brown here down the start-finish straight. Definitely has a lot more speed than Brown. Brown trying to cut as close as he can. Bulgarian's got the run, though. Let's see if he can make it happen into turn one. A little bit squirrely from both of our drivers. Bulgarian's got the inside line. Let's see if he can outbrake. It doesn't seem to be able to outbrake Brown there. Gets a little bit timid there into the braking zone. Probably could have braked a little later, but Brown wasn't going to give up the position. Definitely within the... definitely is the job of the overtaker to be safe there, so good on him to pull out there and make sure it was safe. After getting a little squirrely, probably made him think twice. Got some battles there behind him too with Flores. Flores getting fairly close. Fender, Turnbull, Griffith, Portis. Portis already into P13. Things are going to get dicey here soon between all of these drivers. Fender started in P16, already made his way up into P10. So definitely making some room on the track, or definitely making some gains on the track. Bulgarian is off into the grass. It's gonna leave his position up. Turnbull will get through. Fender will not get through. Griffith, a little bit of a wide line into the chicane there. But Portis is just looking for his opportunity now. Pitch now isn't going to be feeling the pressure from Bulgarian. Turnbull looks to be down. Looks like my timing screen is a little bit messed up here. Not to worry, though. There we go. Christopher Flores, P8. Good moves from him. Looking at Larson, just going away with it. 41.9 is his fastest lap so far. Englander not having any trouble there in P3 as well. Good on him for his first race of his ZRL career. Reed, Fletcher, a lot of space between them. Pitch has got some room to breathe as well. P6, great performance so far from Pitch. Flores, Carlos Flores is already getting fairly close to Brown. I think Brown is definitely a lot higher than his rank. Punching a little bit higher than his weight class here in P7, but he's holding it strong. Got Flores behind him. Turnbull Portis is right behind Turnbull here in P10, making some gains to get back. Guacia is down now in P17, hoping to get back after, I think, correcting a bit of a mistake on the track there. Friesen is back into P15 after the first lap incidents as well. Do apologize, gonna have to cough here soon. Looking back at Brown, Flores, Turnbull. Close battle ensuing between these drivers here. Another thing to watch here, Toby Yao and Christopher Flores as they come down the start-finish straight. Flores looking to make a move into T1. Kind of hard on the outside, but he looks like he's got the inside line. See if he can outbrake Yao there. Not going to do it on the inside line. Yao is going to hold the position. Friesen right behind. Friesen P14. Friesen's fastest lap so far is a 45.7. Wonder if he's got damage on that car, slowing him down a little bit. Let's take a look at his car right now. Does appear... I don't know if there's any damage or not. Yep, there does appear to be some damage on that car. Not sure how much time that is, but definitely going to be impacting the aerodynamics of that car and the speed. So that's definitely something he might want to look into shortly. 10 minutes now have passed in this race, and our leader Larson is just really running away with this one as he comes up on Fender and is lapping him. Fender already has made his pit stop though, so definitely a little bit further back than his position would indicate, or definitely a little bit further up than his position would indicate. Larson now has over almost a 10-second lead on Valero in P2. Really just going away with this one. Carlos Flores in the pits, Turnbull in the pits. That leaves Portis some fresh air here, and he is just going to turn on the hot lap mode, try to get as much time back as possible. Griffith right behind. Griffith, after starting P22, finds himself in P9. Goetia finds himself in P12 after the first lap incidents as well, and correcting it on the track. Friesen is in the pits as well as Turnbull and Flores. Pinio's in the pits. Looks like he's maybe having some network issues. Nunez is back on track now as well. Currently running in last place, has not completed a pit stop yet. Maybe he thought he could get his pit stop done on that first move he made, but that didn't seem to work out for him. Still needs to take 2 pits. Fender and Polgaren have both made their pit stops. Everyone from Flores down has made their first pit stop. Portis just made the move on Brown and now finds his way into P7. Trying to make up time after losing all of those places right at the beginning, the first turn. Contact between him and Goetia. Looking elsewhere on the track, Goetia finds himself sandwiched between Christopher Flores and Simon Beaudry here. Pitch is in the pits. Larson now 11 seconds gap between him and P2, Valero. As Portis moves up the runnings here, now finds himself into P6, it's going to be harder and harder for him to overtake as there is more and more space in between the drivers. He's got 11 seconds to make up between him and Fletcher in P5. Collis with Rodman right behind. Collis sporting a quite festive looking and damaged looking ZRL logo. Rodman looking on the inside, and it looks like he's going to take that. Good clean move. Oh, Collis getting a little bit squirrely there, and oh, into the wall is Collis there. Rodman's going to run away with it now, as behind him comes Pitch into the chicane, into the first chicane. Collis is going to try and probably limp his way back to the pits. Got a lot of damage on that car, I can imagine. Nunez right behind, P23. Fender is going into the pits as well and is completing his second pit stop. Fletcher is in the pits after going into P5. Portis will move up, but he has not taken a stop yet. Has 14 seconds to make up between him and Reed. Goetia is also opting to go into the pits now with that beautiful Red Bull logo, Red Bull livery, I should say. Now it's a little bit tough to manage some of these transitions with everyone pitting where they are in terms of actual position. You know, track position and their actual kind of timing position is going to be very different because a lot of those drivers back now with one pit stop under their belt are going to be a lot further up in the standings. They're going to be a lot further up in the standings than some of those other drivers that have not taken their pit stop. Yep, and Fender with that double undercut, if that's what you even want to call it. You know, I think one thing about like these GT3 cars is that the tires, you know, when you have to pit for tires and things like that, the tires really aren't gone when you need to pit in like 20 minutes or things like that. These tires can last for almost an hour, even longer in most cases, until they're pretty much worn to the point where you really want to pit for new tires. So when you have to take these 2 pit stops like this, it's mostly just to get track position and where your clean air is. And the more you and the better you manage that, you know, the better you can then manage your race, because the more, you know, clear air you get, it allows you to really set faster laps because you're not so much worried about the person in front of you and trying to overtake them on the track. You could maybe gain up some time with a pit stop and getting some clear air, some clear track space. Larson is now 15 seconds ahead of Valero. Really just going away with it. Come and take it is really what this season might turn into, with Larson absolutely rapid in that car. And that's another thing to note too, that Chromier just pointed out in chat, is that, you know, a track like Imola really isn't too hard on tire wear. You know, there's some tracks that are a lot harder on the tires than others. Imola isn't too bad when it comes to tire wear. So a lot of these pit stops are really, you know, if you go 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, you know, stint sort of things, you know, getting fresh tires, it's probably not going to be that much of a benefit. You're almost going to want to double pit for tires and really get like 1 or 2 sets that you really heat up and warm up so that you can set your fast laps. Because it will take a few, you know, a lap to get up to pressures, even if you, or up to the right pressures and temperatures, even if you've got the blankets on. Griffith is in the pits. Portis P5 currently hasn't taken his pit stop yet. Fletcher is in the lead of cars that have already taken 1 pit stop, and Fender is in the lead for cars that have taken both, but not many people are as crazy as Fender. Looking at some of the battles here, we have Flores and Boudry here for a on-track battle here for P6. Both of our Aston Martins. Flores with a bit of a incident there, which will promote Boudry into P6. Both have yet to take their pit stop. Fletcher and Pitch now battling it out as they come across the start-finish straight. Both of these drivers have taken their pit stop. Pitch really trying to ride the bumpers of Fletcher the best he can. Tries to pull out there right at the last second, trying to make the move, but isn't going to work. Rodman in the pits. watching this battle as well, this is as a battle for P9. Fletcher, Rise, and Pitch. Fletcher, Pitch, and Rise back to back to back here. On track battles. Englander, let's see, he is pretty close to another driver, Guacia, behind him, but Guacia is down in P15 as of right now. So, got a driver close on his tail, but that driver is a driver who's already taken their pit stop. Matthew Reed and Christopher Flores currently into the pits. Portis is into P4. 19 seconds him to Englander. Trying to make the move on Polgaren here as they come out of Aqua Minerale into the hairpin. I don't think he's going to be able to make the move there. He's got to brake a little bit early. Let Polgaren have the space. We do not have blue flag rules. I mean, obviously you can see the blue flag rules, but we do not require our drivers to yield for blue flags. But it is seen as a common courtesy. Pitch is in the pits. Actually, I say that, but Pitch is actually off the track and into the dirt. Valero P2, 20 seconds now behind Larson. Yao in the pits, making his first pit stop of the night. Back to the battle between Pitch, Rise. Rise has been able to make the move here. And Flores is now behind. Battle moves now to Flores, Pitch, and his pitch goes a bit wide there. Gotta let Turnbow pass. Friesen, after already making his pit stop here, finds himself into P15 after the incident on lap 1. Guacia P14. Not making as fast progress as I think they would like, but it is slow and steady. Englander in the pits. Pitch again into the pits. Pitch skin is really one of the best skins. I thought, I saw this as I was loading all of the liveries. I thought this was going to be a lot more wild than it actually shows to be in the game. It still looks great in the game, but I think it's a lot tamer than maybe he was expecting. Englander in the pits. Portis is in the pits now. Looking on track. Flores has got Valero close behind. Valero is in P2, so this is to lap. Valero has yet to make his pit stop as they come out of Aqua Minerale. Not going to be close enough to make that move. Flores does let Valero by, though. Makes him awfully close to Turnbull, though. See if Turnbull can make a move. Pitch now into 21 after making his last pit stop of the night. Nunez has yet to make any pit stops within the window, so he still has 2 to make. Englander's out P4. Very respectable for him. Definitely puts him a lot closer now to Portis behind. Portis is now technically lapped by... Portis is technically lapped by some of the by the leaders, but the leaders have yet to make those pit stops. Portis's pit stop puts him in P8 behind Rise. That is for track position, so he's going to have to overtake Rise. Portis is on the charge, though. See if he can make that move within the next few laps. Englander having a great race for his first race in the league. Pitch off the track there. A lot of cars in close succession here for Portis to overtake for track position. Wonder if he made some changes. What if Portis fixed some of the damage on his car? Rodman has now made both of his pit stops. Looking at some of the other drivers, we have some of our biggest gainers is still Reed, who's in P5 now after starting P10. So great race from him so far. Beaudry started P8, is now P4. Some good moves from a lot of our drivers. Brown started P18, remember, and now is in 11. A lot of good moves from him there. Griffith dropping back in the order. Looks to be just a timing issue there. As Portis now charges up the hill. Gained a second on Rise the last lap. Larson has yet to make a pit stop. Same with Valero. But Larson is, if we look at the timing boards here, going to be quite a ways ahead of Valero. Watching some of our close battles here. Turnbull, Flores, and Pinio. Pinio looks to have had maybe some network issues, but he is back. He's racing. He's a lot of laps down, but he's just out there getting laps, getting some experience. Flores now within a half a second of Turnbull as they come down the start-finish straight here. Hoping to make a move. Portis is now within 2/10 of Rise in front of him. Now Rise doesn't need to give this up. This is for track position here. So Rise has just got to defend. This is going to be one of the locations, though, where Portis is going to have the best bet. Rise opts to defend on the inside. Good ideas from Rise there. Definitely going to give Portis a better run as they go up the hill here. But they're fairly close. Rear end to the front bumper there. Rise goes very wide, though. Brings it back onto track. Oh, going to be close between those two. Keeping it clean, though. Keeping it respectful. Rise gets a little bit squirrely there, but Portis is going to make the move. Makes his way into P6. Now he's got another 2 seconds to go before he catches up to Fletcher, so we'll go back down the order. Looking at some of our other battles we have going on here. Friesen is now P11. Something to note, Guacia still P12. Looking at some other battles here. Polgarin and Kalrick. Awfully close here, battle for P16. Oh, Polgarin is a little bit wild there as they come out of Aqua Mineral. Belanger is going to be able to make maybe make use of that. Fender coming in behind. trying to unlap himself there. So Goran is going to have a bit of breathing room now from the pressure that Polgarin was providing. Turnbull's still able to keep that lead on Flores behind. Apologies there, had to cough. I'm probably going to have to take a break here soon, but let's go through the order and see where everyone's lining up. Larson and Valero have yet to make their pit stop. Larson, though, quite a ways ahead of Valero, almost a full minute, it looks like by my readings. Almost 45 seconds ahead of Valero behind. Valero is now coming out of the pits after serving now his first pit stop, so that's probably why there's such a gap. Englander currently in P3, a great race showing from him, now going to be lapped by the leader Larson. Matthew Reed, P4, started P10, great performance from him so far. Hopefully he can keep that. Fletcher is in P5. Portis is closing in on him, but Fletcher did start the race in P11, so a P6 performance, and for him is still a great showing. Portis, after a lap 1 incident, finds himself now in P6, close to make an overtake here and to make his way into P5. And we'll just stick on this for a sec, maybe see if we can watch this overtake happen in real time. As they come up the hill here, Portis awfully close. Not going to really be able to make the move there. Fletcher does go a little bit wide, but he should be able to hold him off as they go down into Aqua Mineral. Portis definitely has a better run coming out of Aqua Mineral as they come into the chicane. Not going to be able to make that stick. Fletcher holds his line. It's a tough place to overtake there into the chicane. Only about a room for one driver. So Portis is going to have to make another attempt here as they come down the hill. As Portis closes that gap. And now down the start-finish straight. Trying to get that run, staying in the slipstream. It's a lot longer straight than a lot of people realize as Portis goes very wide, trying to make the move, and he is holding his brake and taking that inside line. Portis makes the move into P5. Great moves from him to recover from that lap 1 incident. So that makes Portis P5. Fletcher P6. Turnbull is now P7. Already made his pit stop. Flores is now P8. Carlos Flores. Keith Brown in P9. Goetia, having already now made his pit stop, is P10. Good recovery from him as well after correcting the lap 1 incident on track. Friesen is P11. Also had a lap 1 incident. Started the race in P7, but he's making ground back. Good recovery so far. Christopher Flores is P12 after starting the race in 17, so good performance from him, good showing. Yao's made up 1 place, now to be in P13. Dennis Griffith, currently running P14 after starting in 20 seconds, so good show from him. Karlik started in P20, now finds himself in P15. Pulgarin in the 44 Mercedes started P19, now in 16. Belanger looks to have had a bit of a spin. Now finds himself in P18, losing a position to Pulgarin. Rise just took his second pit stop, finds himself back down into P19, but he's going to be doing a lot better than that once other drivers make their pit stops. Pitch is now P20 after a few spins and incidences in that Bentley. Pitch started the race all the way up in P12, so hopefully can make up some positions after some drivers make some pit stops. Baudry also had a lap 1 incident. P8 was where he started. Now P21 after making both pit stops. Collis still has one pit stop to make. Started the race in the back, P23. Now finds himself one better, P22. Rodman Jr. started the race in P24. Finds himself doing one better as well, having taken both pit stops now, P23. Fender had a lap 1 incident. P16 was the start. Looks like Pinio's off the wall there. Off as well. Fender now finds himself in 24. And Pinio, after having some connection issues here, looks to be just holding his own in the back. I will say he looks to have some damage, but I really applaud him for sticking with it. Definitely love to see drivers sticking with it even if they're struggling. So Flores now in the pits for his second pit stop. But that does go through all of the drivers that we have on our grid. Larson is now making his first pit stop. He's got one more to make. Belanger now awfully close to Larson there as they come out of the pits. And now they are a go. Belanger close behind. Now having taken both of his pit stops. Valero maybe had a bit of an incident because he's currently showing in P3 and Englander has been promoted to P2. So a podium finish for Englander, a P2 finish in the looking to be in the works maybe for Englander. So great performance so far from him after starting P6. P2 making up quite a few places there. As we watch Englander here, our P2 driver, I'm going to go on mute for a little bit here, replenish my water supply, and give my voice a little bit of a break. Starting to feel a little bit scratchy, so I'm going to give my voice a little bit of a break. For those of you who are just tuning in, a little bit sick a few weeks ago, still recovering, so just bear with me. I do need to take a quick break just to rest my voice for just a little bit, and I'll be back for hopefully the last 20 to 15 minutes of the race. So I'll leave you on Englander here in P2 so you can watch that action, and I'll be back in just a bit. How y'all doing? We got 16 minutes left in this race. I'm back after replenishing my water supply. But as you can see, we have Englander and Valero now coming out of the pits. Looks like Valero had a bit of a better pit stop. And they now have completed those mandatory pits. Portis has not made his second pit stop yet. So he still has to complete that with 15 minutes left to go. Same with Larson. And if I remember correctly, Portis was P5 last we saw him. Turnbull's currently in the pits. And Reed has already made his pit stop. Looks like he still needs to pass Turnbull on track. Sorry, maybe it's Fletcher on track. So we'll see how everything goes there. Let's look at some of our close battles here. Rise and Pitch for P7. Pitch has definitely made back a lot of time now that the pit stops are coming in. Nunez making his pit stop. Rodman has a drive-through. Pitch was at the back of the pack for most of the race, but he did serve his pit stops a lot earlier than others. As we watch, Pitch getting awfully close to Rise now in the last few turns, coming out of the hairpin. And as we watch this battle, I'd just like to say thank you all for tuning in for round 1 here of season 9 of Zealous Racing League's ZAD's Galaxy Tour. This season we're calling it ZAD's F1 Circuit Tour in ACC. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for all the support. I see we have quite a few viewers here, so I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I thank you guys so much for showing your support and bearing with me and my coughing and raspy voice, which I've got to pause real quick to cough right now. Guess I shouldn't say that because it just makes me want to do it. But thank you so much for all your support. Really appreciate it, and really appreciate you all, coming and supporting this community. We're just a bunch of, amateur gentleman drivers. We just like to have fun racing in our favorite racing game, and really appreciate you guys tuning in. And really, hats off to our admins, Portis, Collis, Portis and Collis, and all of the other admins. Wolf, who isn't racing this season, but is one of our very active admins. We thank him so much for being a part of Zealous and for all the work that they do. And if you guys are new to Zealous and interested in learning more about the league, be sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Links are on the homepage of our YouTube channel. And if you want the most up-to-date information on Zealous Racing League and the leagues that we run, be sure to be sure to follow our Discord. That's where you're going to get the most up-to-date information, and you can reach out to our admins and our community members if you have any questions. If you're new to sim racing or just have some questions about how we run things. One thing to note there, Portis has made his pit stop. Oh, Rise goes off the track a little bit there. And that's going to promote Pitch, it looks like, to P7. We'll see if the move can stick. And it looks like it will. Pitch has made the move into P7. So good recovery from Pitch after having some issues in the early parts of the race. Now P7 after starting P12. Watching Reed and Portis here. This is going to be a battle to watch near the end of the race. Reed, another one of our admins. battling with Portis. Going to be something that we don't get to see too often, but I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. Portis is now a second behind. And if we look, Larson has a 2-lap advantage, almost 1.5 lap advantage on Valero. So that's over a second, over 1 minute and 41 seconds of gap between Larson and Valero, which is absolutely incredible. Larson has just dominated this race. He does have yet to make his second pit stop, but still, that is an incredible feat, and definitely shows his pace. So really, really excited to see what he's got for the rest of this season. Taking a look, Turnbull and Boudry might be having a little bit of a bout here as they come into the first chicane. Boudry getting close within a second. Friesen and Brown here, awfully close. Friesen looking to make the move on turn 1. Can he make it stick? Brown's going to shut him down. Friesen P13 currently trying to make his way into P12. As they come into the hairpin here, Friesen for the wider line. Oh, goes wide. Didn't get himself slowed down enough to make that work. As they come back up the hill, Portis and Reed gonna get close there. Let's go back. We'll keep monitoring that situation as we go back to Turnbull and Boudry. Boudry kind of cutting the chicane there, but is getting close every single turn. Within a half a second now. If we look back, Friesen and Flores getting close there. Yao close behind them as well. Yao and Flores battling it out now. The two Flores is trying to get bragging rights on the other. Seeing what they can do. Friesen getting a little bit squirrely there with Carlos Flores now right behind on his tail. Seeing if he can make the move now. Portis is getting awfully close. We'll see if Flores can make a move on Friesen here. Down the start-finish straight. Not very close. I don't think he's going to be able to make that happen. Friesen is able to hold off the attack. And now as Portis and Reed come out of Aqua Minerale, we're going to have a little bit of a battle here for P4. With 7 minutes left, Larson has now made his final pit stop. And Reed now is feeling the pressure of Portis. Portis is only about a half a second now behind, less than that, behind Reed. And as they come down the start-finish straight, Reed does go a little bit wide. I don't think that exit's nearly as good as what Portis has. But Portis is tucking into the slipstream of that Lamborghini. I don't think he's going to be close enough. And that is going to not be close enough to make the move. Reed gets to hold him off for one more lap. Turnbull and Baudry, nothing has changed there. Friesen, Brown, no moves there. Flores and Flores. See if any changes have been made. Doesn't appear to. Brown and Friesen now coming down. The 29 car of Matthew Reed is into the gravel. Reed is into the gravel at the second chicane, sort of left-right complex there. And that will demote him now into P5. Portis now finds himself P4. great recovery after a lap 1 incident, putting him down into last place. Now he's got 15 seconds to make up, though, to Englander in P3. So to get that podium position, he's really, really going to have to work for it. And I don't know if he has enough time to make that stick. Looking further back, Friesen has been able to make the move on Brown. Now Carlos Flores close behind. Toby Yao has been able to take the position from Christopher Flores as well. So some movements there happening. As we watch going to Turnbull and Baudry, definitely one of the closer battles we have. As we now have less than 5 minutes left in the race, Larson is leading, has pretty much been untouchable this whole race. Unless something major happens, I don't think he's going to have much trouble securing this victory. Valero, driver in second now, has had a really good showing, a little bit of movements between him and Englander, but looks like Valero is able to win out in the end. That being said, there still is about 4 minutes, so something could change. But as of right now, Valero seems to have P2 on lock. Same with Englander. You know, Portis is has made an excellent move to get up into P4, but with 15 seconds of a gap between Portis and Englander, I don't believe Portis is going to be able to make that move work. I just think that's a little bit too far, too much to ask of our last season's champion. Going into the last 3 minutes now. Our drivers are winding down their time at Imola. We've had a 60-minute race today, 2 pit stops for our drivers, and there have been a lot of changes. After a lap 1 incident took a lot of drivers down into the last few positions, including Portis, our last season's champion. We have now come down to the final 2.5 minutes. About 2.5 minutes of this race. There have been a lot of battles. There have been a few contact points from the race today. As we look at Carlos as he tries to make a move on Brown. Flores makes a bit of a mistake there, but and that allows Brown to gain a few more seconds. If you are still in chat now with 2 minutes left, I'll just have you guys vote for a driver of the day, you know? I'm going to have you guys vote for a driver of the day, chat. I'll put in my vote as well. If I had to say my driver of the day would probably be Portis. I think he's been making a great comeback now after that lap 1 incident. Definitely making it clean, making it work, not getting frustrated, and making the moves he needs to get all the way back up into P4. And even if he can't do better than that, I think that come from the back attitude to keep going, I think is definitely what gives him driver of the day in my book today. And, you know, I'm not saying that just because he's another admin. I think it's definitely an admirable showing, a spectacular showing, I would say, from Portis today, even if he hasn't been close to getting the lead. So, definitely a great performance from Portis. Gets my drive of the day with maybe a Guacia close behind for dropping back on lap 1 and allowing Portis to you know, if that's what really happened, allowing him to regain those positions. Let's take a look at some of our drivers here, Turnbull and Baudry, as we go into the last final few moments of the race here. Larson now, 8 seconds left in this race. Larson is going to be bringing it home shortly. We have ran out of time. The 60 minutes are up. This will be the final lap of the race for our drivers as Larson now turns that final turn, the final corner, and he'll bring it home to win round 1 of season 9. The F1 Circuit Tour, the first win of the season, will go to Christopher Larson. Big congratulations to him for the number 1 slot, having the pole position, fastest lap of the race. He got the triple crown. He has made all the difference. He has dominated this race. He is the winner. Juan Valero, in P2, now coming across the final few turns of this track. He's going to be coming home after starting P5. He's going to be bringing it home in second as he comes down the start-finish straight. And behind him, the final podium spot goes to our newcomer to the Zealous Racing League community. It's Peter Englander. First performance, first showing here. He gets P3, a podium performance. Excellent job from Englander. Portis comes back P4 after that great back-to-front performance. And last but not least, another amazing drive today from Matthew Reed, coming home P5 after starting P10. A great gain. That is your top 5. Pitch will get P7, P6, Pitch P7, Rise P8, Turnbull P9, Baudry looks to be getting P10 unless something changes here, but it doesn't look like it's going to. Fletcher will come out, or Turnbull will come out ahead, Baudry P10. Friesen will get P11, Brown P12, Flores, Yao, another Flores, Griffith, Fender. Whoop, gotta check this here real quick. Return to garage, go to the timetables, and check race. See what our drivers show. Looks like some of our drivers have already left though, but that doesn't matter because we do know who our top 5 are. And so, with that, it brings us to the end of our stream tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today for round 1 at Imola for season 9 of ZAD's Galaxy Tour. Here we are for the F1 Circuit Tour. Our winner tonight, Chris Larson. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Valero and Englander to round out our podium positions. Portis for an excellent showing, driver of the day, P4. And Reed, 10-5, gets our final top 5 performance. Again, thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. It's been an excellent time streaming for you all. And I can't wait to be back here next week for round 2. Round 2 will be at Let me make sure I get this all right so I don't mess anything up. Round 2 will be at Barcelona. 45-minute race at Barcelona. 8 p.m. is the start of qualifying next week here on the Zealous Racing League channel. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Follow us on social media and join the Discord. I've been Shim. Have a great night.